Franklin Covey is an old school, tried and true planner company. The Franklin comes from Benjamin Franklin and his list of virtues. The Covey comes from Stephen Covey and his book, The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. And what we're going to talk about today are the aspects of the Franklin Covey system, which is a robust system that I think everyone should steal and incorporate into their own lives. Whether you're a bullet journal person or a customer of mine, or you've got some other planner that you love, doesn't matter. I'm going to list through really good stuff that Franklin Covey teaches and you can just steal and incorporate into your own system. Hello, I'm Kait, by the way. I make videos about productivity and organization. I used Franklin Covey when I was much younger. Now I've got my own planner company, so obviously I use my own company stuff. Almost a year ago, I made a video that was a complete overview of the Franklin Covey system. That video was actually really well received. If you'd like to watch it after this, I'll link to it up there. But the point is, after making that video, I did steal a couple aspects of Franklin Covey and incorporate them into my own system. Some notation, how I think about values. But anyway, let's just jump in listing them out. Okay, number one has got to be the productivity pyramid, which has values at the base, then goals, then tasks. They break down tasks into planning weekly and planning daily. I would actually add in monthly planning and quarterly planning in there too. But let's just stay zoomed out for now and call all the planning just tasks. I love this idea of a pyramid. How many of you have done a goal planning exercise or identifying values and it was a great exercise, but then it just kind of like went into your desk and you forgot about it? Or even if you didn't forget about it, it still didn't influence your day-to-day life. In Franklin Covey, that big picture stuff doesn't get put away and forgotten. You look at your values when you pick your goals. You look at your goals when you do your planning. So day to day, you are at the top of that pyramid working off your daily plan. But your daily plan was made based on your weekly plan, and your weekly plan was made based on your goals, and your goals were set based on your values. And in this way, your values are actually with you in your day-to-day planning. Again, I also do quarterly and monthly planning, but you can see how those would just fit perfectly as extra steps in the pyramid. And that's a good lead into the next thing that I think we should steal from the Franklin Covey system, which is to do the exercise of identifying our own values. This is directly inspired by Benjamin Franklin and his 13 virtues. And basically, these are just things you care about, things you want to improve about yourself, things you want to spend your time on. And the exercise is very simple. First, you identify them, and then you define them. For example, you and I might both have joy as a value, but what does that really mean to you? It might mean different things to you and me. And then you prioritize them, you put them in order. And if it isn't just obvious to you, the way you do this is by imagining a scenario where like two of your values are kind of pitted up against each other. Which one would you choose? So some examples, if both financial security and your family are your values, you might imagine a burning building and you can only save either your life savings or your child. Which one do you save? Hopefully that's an easy one. Or you can imagine a bridge with a 70% survival rate of crossing it. What would you cross that bridge for? What about if the survival rate was even lower? What would you cross the bridge for then? And then you end up with your list of prioritized values. And this list might hopefully help you make some difficult decisions. Hopefully none of them like those imagined scenarios we talked about, but other times when you have to make difficult choices. And it's also going to help with day-to-day prioritization, but we'll get to that later. Of course, the main thing that Franklin Covey says you should be using your values for is for setting your goals. I'm going to kind of gloss over goal setting. Yes, of course, I think it's important, but I'm also kind of assuming that we're all already doing it. If you are someone who watches videos like this but doesn't do goal setting, please subscribe to my channel, watch my other productivity videos, let me pull you in deeper into this world. Now back to goal planning. One Franklin Covey specific thing is if you have a goal and it doesn't link back to any of your values, you need to ask yourself if this is something you actually want, or if maybe you're chasing it for the wrong reasons. Next up is the Eisenhower Matrix, which predates Franklin Covey, and I'm sure it's something you're already familiar with. But the reason I'm including it is because I never really got the Eisenhower Matrix until I learned about the Franklin Covey productivity pyramid. The whole idea of distinguishing important and urgent, I legit just didn't get this for years. Important, urgent, what's the difference? It's all stuff that really has to get done. But now, literally after years, learning this years and years ago, it finally clicked. The important stuff is the stuff that ties in to one of my goals or my values. They are the tasks that bring me closer to the stuff that I actually want. Those tasks often have no deadline, so it's very easy to keep pushing them to the side for the urgent stuff. But no, we need to do the important stuff first. And how to do that is a perfect segue into the next thing that I've stolen from Franklin Covey, which is the ABC123 notation. With the ABC123 notation, you put an A next to tasks that are strongly aligned to your values. These are tasks that must be done today. You put a B next to tasks that are somewhat related to your goals and values, and they really should be done today. And finally, a C next to tasks that are not related to your goals and values. And those are tasks that would be nice to get done today. And then the numbers are easy. You just number the tasks in order that you plan to do them today. Now it seems silly, but having that little A next to my important tasks really helps me prioritize and do them first and resist the temptation of those urgent but not important tasks. And I will let you know a secret that I have found since I've started doing this. The urgent stuff always gets done. It finds a way. You don't need to do the urgent stuff first, because it'll get taken care of. Okay, the next thing that I think we should all steal from Franklin Covey is what they call sharpening your saw, which is, to summarize it very quickly, prioritizing self-improvement. And this comes directly from the book, The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. The reference is, if you sharpen a saw, you can cut down a tree faster. But first, you have to invest that time in sharpening the saw. It's really about resisting the temptation to say, I don't have time for that, when that is something that will compound and invest into something that actually makes things work better and faster in the end. That's the best way I can summarize it. Investing in yourself, investing time in yourself, and acknowledging that that time, will be paid back to you in the end. And one last thing is kind of buried in the Franklin Covey literature, but it's something called the continuum of control. In general, I think this is something pretty skippable, except for one thing. It's the idea that the more control you have, the more likely you are to procrastinate. And that's so true. When it's our own project, our own goal, our own business, we have a lot, maybe even total control. And there is definitely more risk of procrastination there. So I think this is a nice thing to just kind of keep in mind. Even if we're not normally the type of people who procrastinate, the risk is higher when we have total control. So I think it's just good to kind of keep an eye on it and be aware of it. Okay, so that is the productivity pyramid, identifying your values, goal setting, the Eisenhower Matrix, ABC123 notation, sharpening your saw, and keeping in mind the continuum of control and kind of remembering the more control you have, the greater the risk of procrastination. If you haven't seen my original Franklin Covey video, it's actually like my best performing video ever, so I think it must be good, and I will link to it right here for you. Or otherwise, please check out my channel. I have a lot more productivity videos on things like how I do my own weekly planning, budgeting your hours like money, and the Pomodoro technique. If you watched this far in this video, I think you probably would also like those. So I'll see you over there in those videos. Ciao.